All right. So yesterday, there was a lot of information circulating on the internet for Marathon's ranked mode, and I did a little bit of short form content on it, and but I haven't had a chance to really deep dive. So we're going to take a look at this video from Kevin Coolx on YouTube. Shout out to him. This is his video. We're going to see what he has to say because, again, I haven't had a chance to really absorb everything. I know that you have to have a holo card and there's the different rank tiers. And then, you have to have the holo card to even go into ranked and things like that. But I haven't had a chance to really deep dive. So I want to take a look at this video. Shout out to Kevin Coolx. Make sure you're subbing and all that stuff. I want to give, all credit where credit's due. We're going to watch what he has to say. Then we're going to, as it goes along, give my opinions and breakdowns and see where we land. And, let's go ahead and get this started. So let's see what he has to say.
Information about Marathon's ranked mode that just leaked out, and it sounds very interesting. Because if you guys don't remember, Bungie is relying heavily on this ranked mode to really carry the experience. Because this mode is supposed to be the big innovation.
Yo, hey, you see that worm he has behind his head? The Sekiguchi plush worm? I'm pretty sure that was like a limited pre-order thing months and months ago from Bungie store. And I fucking missed out on it, man. I missed out on it. So Bungie, if you see this, please make more of them. I would actually like to get one.
Innovation that Bungie is bringing to the extraction shooter genre. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of the assistant game director, Del Chef here, who talked about how they're going to bring this ranked mode in to be like the big changing experience that is going to happen for an extraction shooter, which is kind of weird to think about. Like, how do you even put ranked into an extraction shooter? Because an extraction shooter never really feels like a true ranked experience. Because
I mean, is that y'all tell me? So I don't play Tarkov, and I've played other extraction games like what do you call it? Arena Breakout or geez, man, it's escaping me. There's a new one called Active Matter. I've tried that one out, and I don't know. Does Tarkov Arena have ranked mode? I honestly don't know. So let me know in the comments. But I guess to the question of this is he's asking, how do you do ranked in a game like this? And the holo card system seemed to explain it, but let's see what he has to say.
The fact that you just get out without dying is kind of just like the big W that you get for playing the game.
Yeah,
you get
the loot.
Your loot.
You got to get out with the loot.
Up by that progression of getting more gear. That's kind of like the whole thing about extraction shooters. So how do you add rank to that? How do you measure the skill? How do you put a number behind someone's ability?
It's a really
to play
good
the
question.
Game? Especially in a game where there's so much more nuance to the gameplay experience. And from this interview with Chef, or Chef, how you pronounce his name, said that there will be a separate mode for ranked that's going to need optimized loot from players, and that upon extracting will turn into a score of what has been achieved during that run.
Well, I mean, that kind of explains it right there. So you're going to need the holo card to go into ranked mode in the first place, but you're also going to need optimized loot, which to me, if I'm interpreting this sentence the correct way, would mean they're probably going to calculate a gear score of some kind. And if you don't have at least a minimum gear score, then you can't do ranked. But then if that's true, what's the purpose of the holo card? You know what I mean? In other words, if what I just said was true, then getting the holo card, then maybe you could get in, but not because, well, you have a holo card, but sorry, I hit the mic. You have a holo card, but your gear score is not high enough. So F off. That's, I don't know.
And this new information that we just received kind of aligns with exactly what the assistant game director just said. If you guys like to do some information videos, subscribe, always appreciated.
Yes,
Usually
subscribe.
if you enjoyed the video, let's get right into those details. So reported here on MP, first is kind of where the news is originating from, but it actually comes from a leaker known as X0X Leak, who is actually a rather reliable data miner. So given that this is not completely official information, right? Just some kind of insider.
Yeah, take everything with a grain of salt, man, because I mean, granted, all the details that leaked seem like, when leakers put out stuff, you look at it and it's like, is this something that was written by ChatGPT, or is it, a lot of times you can kind of feel and tell like this is probably made up bullshit that doesn't correlate, or there's things about it that just don't make sense. But the info that has released, in my opinion, it would be really hard for someone to just randomly make up that info on the ranked mode and it make that much sense. So I think it's probably real, and they're probably getting ready. Oh, by the way, I've been saying this since yesterday, like how, because this info leaked, ranked is obviously going to be a big deal for Marathon. So I think the next big Vidoc that we get is going to heavily talk about ranked, if not the entire Vidoc. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're going to have a whole ass Vidoc on ranked, and maybe they add in some other, nuggets of information or whatever. But I bet you that's what's coming. And I bet it's going to come Monday or Tuesday. That's my prediction.
Info, some leak stuff, always treat it with a grain of salt, but just keep in mind that this does seem to line up rather accurate to what we just read about when they're first talking about the ranked mode for Marathon. And in this article, they actually detail things like how the scoring is going to work, how holo tags play a major factor in the gameplay loop, and how just like ranking up even works in an extraction shooter. Saying to play ranked mode in Marathon, crew members must select a zone, assemble a loadup that matches or exceeds the gear ante.
Yeah, gear score.
And purchase a holo tag to set the score target with. Important to note that holo tags are required to enter ranked mode.
Okay, holo tag so it says you need a loadout that matches or exceeds the gear ante, meaning like a minimum gear score. And then you purchase a holo tag to set the score target with. Now that I don't quite understand. I get what they're saying, but I guess I need more information. So a holo tag to set the score target. So what I would want more information on what they mean by score target.
Oh, so this is what really is going to, I think, separate the experience of playing ranked compared to just regular unranked modes, is that there's going to be an ante, meaning you have to put X amount of value, I'm sure, of loot onto your character to at least play the game, and then also have a holo tag, which actually has some levels of multipliers, which we'll dive into a little bit later in this video. From the findings, the zones featured in ranked will change each week to spice things
rotating
up.
Maps.
As for ranked progress, it initiated...
And you know what? They keep saying zones. So to me, that says they're going to block off sections of the bigger maps. But damn, if that's the case, like by how much? Because I played in the alpha and I played in the closed playtest, and like the maps are pretty big, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, how much are you zoning off of a particular map? And then how many teams are going to be allowed to go in at any given time? Because it could start to get really crowded really fast depending on those parameters.
By extracting high value loot, progress is made based on the credit value of the loot found during the run, and players must meet or exceed the set score target to make progress.
Got it.
So remember what we're talking about when it came to those holo tags? Saying purchase a holo tag to set the score target. So it seems like basically you're gonna need to put like at least an X amount of value of loot on your character to be able to get into the raid. And then you also have to predict, okay, we have to beat this score, and if we beat or predict the score that we think we're going to achieve, then we actually rank up. Honestly, it sounds like really interesting, some really high stakes on top of what's already super high stake gameplay of the nature of an extraction shooter. And the ranks will consist of your standard bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then pinnacle. There was also mention of a master rank, which...
So the holo tag is your pass to get into rank, but then that holo tag sets a score. And then based on the gear that you extract with, everything's going to have point systems to it. And the accumulation of gear and loot that you extract with determines if you surpass the holo tag's score requirement or not. And I guess if you do, then you rank up. If you don't, then you don't. Interesting.
We're assuming is for the very best of the best, for the top pinnacle of players in the world. So if you're familiar with like Halo 5's ranking system, you have like champion rank, which actually gives you a number for top how many players in the world you are. it's kind of a cool thing to do. So cool to see they're going to do the same thing for Marathon here. Each rank has 3 subdivisions, for example 1, 2, and 3 ranks, leveling up from silver 1 to silver 2, silver 3, and onward. But when it comes to ranked rewards, players can expect cosmetic items with some availability directly for players to equip, while other rewards will be given after the season is over. This is going to be very interesting to see how seasons are going to really work out in Marathon, because they mentioned about how there's going to be wipes when it comes to every new season, which should expect about every 3 or 4 months or so, which for an extraction shooter, I feel like it's a little too soon, especially for like a casual level extraction shooter, because that's going to be, it's kind of the whole appeal.
You know, that's another thing. We talk about like what he said, a casual extraction shooter. A lot of, I'm not saying that's what he's saying here. If he's considering this a casual extraction shooter, I could understand the mentality of like, if like Tarkov players would look at Marathon and say, that's like for casuals, right? Like I could understand that, but I would push back and say nothing about Marathon is casual because of how crazy the PvP is. Like the PvP skill gap, which I talked about in my previous video, is going to be on another freaking level in Marathon. So, you know, maybe the way loot works would feel more casual, but I think it's offset by the PvP skill gap. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not throwing shade or anything negative about if someone says this or that. Like all opinions are valid with this game, and it's really interesting how Marathon is just doing a lot of crazy stuff, man.
Like feeling your character rank up and power up throughout these days. Now I've been recently playing a lot of Arc Raiders. Now I can guarantee you, if I felt that like my stuff was going to reset within a month or so, it kind of killed the vibe for me wanting to play the game and really grind it.
I had this happen with me in Arc Raiders, where you have your expeditions or whatever, and you have to get all these resources and get to it. Like I am not, like, I felt like the reset mechanic in Arc Raiders, I felt like it came way too soon. Like it was way too fast. You know, I just didn't want to blow through and get all these things and all this stuff. Like it just, for me personally, I thought it was way too fast. I think the developers are working to mess with that, but let's get back to Marathon here.
But knowing that there will be no full hard resets when it comes to Arc Raiders keeps me playing the game, knowing that like I'm constantly making that progression, making my character better. And I fully remember the pain points that were coming back in the Halo 5 days when the rank system was resetting every month for that game, that players literally like stop resetting the ranks because we feel like we're not able to make any progression in the game, because as soon as you feel like you get to the spot where you need to be, everything wipes and you have to start all over again. So I remember they had to kind of take that step back from once every month resetting ranks to once every, I believe every 3 or 4, I think eventually every 6 months. And of course, with every rank system, everyone has to be able to play the game, meaning there are going to be really good players playing rank, but that means there are also going to be some people that might not be as good. So how do you?
Yeah. I think if you ask me, man, if we're gonna do, I agree with I agree with this guy. He's where Jesus, let me. Kevin Coolix. I agree with Kevin over here about how I'm really curious how Marathon's going to do their seasons and their wipes, because Marathon is going to have such a high PvP skill gap. It's going to take a while for casuals to get that gear, to get on a team in LFG and excuse me, and find a team that can carry them. You know, like I said in my previous video, like I'm like a 1.0 KD, right? Like I'm extremely, 1.1 on a good day, so I'm going to need a good team to like help me get in there and get the best stuff and do the craziest level content, right? I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be like, ready for a new reset in like 2 months or something crazy. Like that's not going to be me. So I'm curious to see how they do the pacing on this. And then, how does the ranking have anything to do with the way they do their season pass model, as far as like, is it going to be 3 months or whatever? I would always advocate for a longer reset season than a shorter one. Our Arc Raiders was way too fast, in my opinion. I hope they extend those out,
differentiate, how you separate out those player bases? Well, they mentioned it's through zones, saying all
Zones,
players have access to low stakes zones for
Oh.
ranked matches, and players ranked platinum or higher will have access to high stakes zones. Now, first hearing
That's
that, you're like,
interesting.
oh my god, people are gonna pub stomp in ranked, which is gonna be awful. But the thing is that when you're at a higher tier level, meaning you're putting probably more likely higher tier loot in, going for higher scores as well, meaning that the better loot is going to be just naturally in those higher tier lobbies. So naturally, those really sweaty players who really want to grind out and get.
So wait a second. So we're talking about ranked, right? We're talking about ranked from the context of PvP only, but this game has PvE stuff in it. So hold on a minute. So if we have these zones that are tiered based on your rank and stuff, how does PvE play into the ranked mode? Does that mean if you have access to the platinum zones or whatever, that the AI in there is just going to be cracked? Like that sounds horrifying. Like I love Kevin's video here so far, but it just triggered this idea in my head. I'm like, wait a second. Like, is PvE being factored in to this ranked mode with these zones? And if so, how chaotic and nuts is that going to be? Guys, this might be a whole ass problem, dude. I don't know.
The best loot possible are going to gravitate to those higher tier loot zones. Now, does that mean that you won't see high tier players jumping into low stakes zones? Potentially, but I think that will just kind of naturally play itself out. When it comes to
No, that's a good point. Are we going to have so if we have different zones, what he's saying is, so if I'm a platinum player and I have access to platinum zones, am I going to go to bronze zones and just wipe everybody out? Is that going to be something that is encouraged in the way they're designing it, or is it going to be like, if you're a certain rank, you can't go into zones that are of a lower rank? Like, I wonder how they're going to balance that.
scoring and failing to extract, to mark a score in a match, players must have a holo tag equipped to contribute
to mark
the
a score in a match. You must have
holo
it.
tag means no contribution to your score.
Okay.
If players exfil a ranked match but have not reached the set score, this will translate to no loss in rank progress, but the player will not gain anything.
Okay, so yeah, if you exfil in ranked, but you didn't reach the score set by the holo tag, then you basically, like, nothing happens. You're not gonna get, you're not gonna lose rank, but you're not gonna gain rank. That's fair.
Thing in the process. Also, failing to extract, that's a point loss equal to the set score target. So again, kind of lining up with what we're talking about, saying go big or go home kind of thing, where like you can aim for really high ante and then also really high score that you want to achieve. And if you get that, well, then you rank up a lot faster and get to those higher tier levels of find that higher tier loot. But of course, if you don't meet that, well then it's going to hurt just as much. Now, they also go into how the holo tags exactly work, but it seems like these are going to be kind of like you need to hit X amount of score, and this is what we're kind of betting that we're going to play as. And right here is showing kind of like the basic format, how each holo tag works. It goes bronze, silver, gold.
Oh, they got a whole
platinum,
breakdown.
Diamond, and then pinnacle holo tags. So for example, say for a silver holo tag here, it says on infill gives 5,000 credits
5,000.
to your score target. Additional loot silver holo tags expands your credit capacity of your score targeted by 1,000. So basically it says like you basically set the score of like how much you are expecting to score within that match, and it also gives you a little bit extra space there as well when it comes to receiving more credits, meaning more loot, more money, more riches, meaning more rank. Now the last time Bungie really did
Okay, so I'm interpreting that as you get a holo card with a set score, but I guess additional tags can extend that score. And if you get, so like if you get enough loot to get the score that matches the holo tag, that will help you rank up. But if you exceed that score with the extra holo tags, I think is what he meant, that you can potentially push those points further. to get even more rank out of an individual run. That's the way I'm interpreting it.
Some high tier type of activity was actually during Destiny 2 when it comes to the raids, right? Where they decided never go with matchmaking for that, which for some reason didn't really work out for people. I mean, there's always LFGs you can find, but trying to play with random people in raids is kind of a pain.
Dude, everyone knows playing with randos in raids and dungeons is just it's ass. It's so bad.
On the backside, I would say at least that much. So it seems like they're kind of trying to do a similar type of thing, hybrid almost, when it comes to how they're going to do the ranked match making, where some is going to be solo, some of it has to be in squads. Same when it comes to zones, some cannot be entered solo and will require multiple players enter either with a pre-made crew or via matchmaking.
I like that matchmaking is in the game for this. That here's the thing. I can crap all over like matchmaking as far as like matching with randos for like raid like activities, but I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. It absolutely should be there because there are people that will make it work. And if you don't have it, it's not so easy to like find, like navigate through LFG groups. But I it's a double-edged sword because I understand the argument on both sides when you're talking about matchmaking. If you put in matchmaking in the game, it's not much different or better than just going into like the Discord for an LFG or something, right? You still have to kind of navigate and you're still dealing with randos and all this stuff. But I feel like traditional LFG methods like Discord seem to work a lot better than the in-game stuff if we're talking about Destiny 2. I'm curious how they're going to do it in this game, but at a base level, if it's just matchmakings in the game, I would much prefer that exists in the game than having to resort externally outside of the game for LFG, because you got to have it in the game. Whether people use it or not, it's up, give them the choice. You know what I mean?
Which is good, at least that give players that solo opportunity to just jump in and play ranked if they're just hanging out by themselves. Really nice feature there. But now hearing about how the rank system is going to work and how that's really going to entice players to really grind for that high tier loot makes you think, well, then what's the experience going to be like for owned ranked matches? Like what's going to give that true purpose? Like, can you still get super high end tier loot when it comes to playing in social matches compared to ranked? Because then if people are just going to funnel themselves in the ranked if they want to get that high tier good stuff.
No, I think the answer is that you're still going to be able to find the highest tier loot in regular non-ranked, because there's going to be raid like security stuff. There's going to be the harder maps that are going to have, higher tier loots. I think all that it's going to matter for ranked is I think there's going to be two main incentives for rank. If it plays out this way, I'm pretty sure it will. The first incentive is because it's ranked, like it's bragging rights, right? You get to flex. You get to have a goal to strive towards. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. You have a goal to try to achieve in ranking up. That's like since the beginning of ranked systems in video games, like that's the thing you chase is the rank. The other thing is Bungie is saying that they're going to have ranked specific cosmetics that you can earn by chasing the pinnacle stuff in ranked. So this is Trials of Osiris is in terms of the loot. Like basically they're not going to stop you from getting the best loot in the game, but they're saying that if you want to chase some cool cosmetics, you can do that in the ranked mode. That's what I think the answer is to what he's saying.
But maybe the ranked progress would be much more of a fast track to getting to that high tier loot, which then I think would also lead to the same problem of it being people wanting to do the most effective way possible to get where they want to be. I mean, we've seen this with...
Well, okay, to that point, I kind of agree. Like if ranked naturally has higher drop chance for the best tier loot, that is a faster way for you to kind of, build up your stash of high tier items and stuff. Like for sure, that would definitely be the thing. But that strategy is going to work out best for the best players if that's true, which we're not sure yet. But as far as like, are they going to keep you from being able to earn the best loot in the game unless you go into ranked? No, I don't think that's going to happen at all.
Every single game out there that players will use whatever cheesy tactic possible, whatever grindy thing they'll need to do, if it is the most effective way to get to where they want to be in the game as soon as possible, which is kind of like an odd way to think about it when it comes to games like this, because
well, that's the same tactic anyone's going to use. If there's an advantage to get me to the best loot faster, to get raid ready, or in this case for Marathon, ready for the Cryo Archive map and the compiler, then yeah, like players are going to pursue that fastest track. Like that's yes, of course. Like why wouldn't they? But what Kevin's saying here is, is the ranked mode going to present that option to players? I hope, and I would like to think that ranked is going to just have cosmetics like Trials. But Trials has weapons too. There's adept weapons in Trials. But you guys let me know in the comments. In Trials of Osiris for Destiny 2, has it been the case that the Trials weapons end up changing the sandbox enough to to have a god roll that's like puts it at a level that's better than doing any other activity? I think there have been instances of that in the past, but it's not constant. Like the weapons and the loot in Destiny 2 and the sandbox changes enough that, I don't remember seeing a whole lot of examples, sometimes, but not constantly, where, okay, the best weapon in the game is in Trials. Like there's been times where like the sandbox was advantageous for whatever Trials was dropping, but not the other way around. It's never been like, Gallahorn's the most powerful weapon in the game, and it's only in Trials, and then everybody's trying to go to Trials to get that weapon because no one will fucking let me in the LFG if I don't have Gallahorn. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt that Marathon's gonna go this approach with ranked. It sounds like it's gonna be cosmetic only in terms of the special stuff that you can earn, not so much the in-game loot. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out.
Honestly, for an extraction shooter, it's more about the journey rather than the destination when it comes to playing these type of games. I personally don't really see myself grinding out ranks when it comes to Marathon. I think this is gonna be very much for like the highest of high tier type of players to really flex how good they are.
Bro, I'll try it with a team if it's got badass cosmetics. Really cool
opportunities in gameplay that would be something that would have to optimize your grouping and how different characters will play with each other and things like that. Could be incredibly interesting to see how it all works out. I definitely will give it a go for sure. And you never know, it might be a much more fun version. It kind of might be the same thing with Halo, where like, yeah, social Halo is fun, but personally I like playing ranked a lot more than anything else. But then also with ranked Halo is that it's balanced. It's purposely made for competitive gameplay, where I feel like with an extraction shooter, especially with heroes like this, I don't know if you can truly balance it out to make it.
This is a great argument. It's a good question. This is where we go back to me saying like Marathon is just doing things different, because having a ranked mode in extraction shooter is a whole ball of wax in itself. And then, how do they balance it? How do you, are you going to have higher tier players that can come into lower tier zones and just wipe the floor with you? Are you going to have the gear, the highest, bestest gear dropping at a higher rate in ranked versus non-ranked, and then the point systems and how you rank up and down? Is it, I understand so far with the data that's released, like how mechanically they're trying to build it, but implementation is everything, and there's still some unknowns.
So that it's a fair experience. Also gonna try to take away some cores of different types of mechanics within the base game for the vanilla like social game, where you have a little bit more unbalanced wildness happen, where in ranked you might need to kind of take a few things out, balance things out a little bit more for that ultimate fair competitive experience, because there's nothing worse in a shooter than when you die and you feel like it's not your fault, especially when ranks are involved. Hey, Bungie said this is going to be their mode that's going to make them stand out amongst the crowd.
But when he says like when you die and it's not your fault, I mean, what are we referencing? Are we referencing cheaters, or are we referencing just like something crazy with the sandbox that's not balanced right, or bugs? Like, I don't know, like balance. The thing about balance is if everybody has access to it, then it's balanced. We used to talk about this a lot in Destiny 2 with Thorn. There was a period where Thorn was just super OP, and it was the meta, and everybody had it and everybody used it. Same thing with like the Last Word. It had hits run. All these weapons and different stuff had their runs where they were just broken or OP, but it was balanced because everybody had access to it. That was the difference. Marathon kind of is not going to be so black and white because of what Kevin's saying here about the different classes and the abilities, and then the synergies with the cores, and then the way the loot drops. What's the RNG look like? And my previous question that I posed, which is like, is PvE even being factored into ranked? Surely it is. And then at what level is PvE? Are the enemies going to be cracked the higher you go up in rank? So like if you go into a platinum zone, are you just going to get like the T-pose robot from the Destroyer cinematic just screwing up your shit all day while you're trying to deal with other PvP combatants? Is that what ranked looks like? Or, I mean, we just don't know yet. Like these are all really great questions.
Which we've never seen a ranked mode in an extraction shooter before. So maybe it will be that big changing mode that really will change the experience of how this game actually plays out and how it interacts with the social side of things, and how it will actually fast track you to better loot, or how it will actually make players want to go into rank. Like besides getting like extra bits of customization or something, what's going to be that true motivation that makes you want to play ranked rather than have a number next name showing how cool you are? But then
great, Kevin, great question. Great freaking question. What he said was, besides the flashy cosmetics, which are only in the rank pool, besides the flashy cosmetics and just to play ranked so you can get ranked, like what's the incentive to go in? And I mean, to me, that's enough. If you have cool cosmetics to chase and then you get the rank, that feels good. To me, that's enough. But it is a fair question to ask, like, why else what mechanically might be fun or interesting for me to, because maybe the cosmetics aren't, like they show what the cosmetic is for season 1 if you get like the highest rank, and maybe it's something that you're like, that looks like ass, so why should I go in here? Like, you have to have other reasons, because art is subjective and not everybody's going to dig the cosmetics necessarily, right? So I too would say I'm very curious on like what he's saying here, which is, how is it going to be designed to pull me in outside of just those two things?
Interesting thing within this entire article, it actually doesn't say anything about if it will be there at launch for Marathon, which honestly I kind of hope that ranked isn't there at launch, because I feel like you need to funnel players into the core experience of Marathon, especially.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think ranked, to me, being there at launch is probably 50-50. I say that because they're hinting more at the PvE raid-like mechanic on Cryo Archive. They have focused talking more about that so far and we haven't even seen them put out official stuff on the ranked. I think that's coming soon. I think probably next week. I bet in the next week or two we get a whole Vidoc on ranked, because it seems like ranked is such a deep system that it would require a 15 to 20 minute Vidoc for them to break it down and market it. Ranked being in at launch, I'd be curious about. But the Cryo Archive with the compiler, the raid-like mechanic or whatever, the verbiage that they talk about on that with their tweet on Marathon's official X page was like, you're going to, the way it won't be open at launch, but once the way opens, bring in your best gear and stuff. That is classic Bungie talk for when they release a DLC on Destiny 2 and they're getting ready to drop a new dungeon or raid. They almost always, when a new DLC launches, gives you like a week or two to get your light level up and gear and everything else, and then boom, they drop the dungeon or raid, and you've geared up as best you can and you go at it. I think that's exactly what's happening with Cryo Archive and the compiler, but having ranked mode to start working on before that would be nice, but I guess it's a good question. I think 50-50 probably.
At launch, so everyone kind of there at the same time, experiences the same type of things and understands the game. And then once you actually get an understanding of like how the different mechanics work, how these different characters play within each other, say like within the first month or so, that's when you actually drop the ranked mode. Plus, with it being live service, kind of helps you a little bit more with that content drip, just stretches things out just a little bit more. And as stated earlier by Marathon on Reddit, saying that they are planning for the long haul when it comes to the content side of things, and they will have a roadmap shortly before
I'm looking
the launch
forward
of the
to that,
game.
dude.
And remember, Marathon did confirm that they will have an open preview weekend before
that's
the
right.
launch of the game. Being that the game is launching on March 5th, it's probably happening this month. So maybe we'll be able to test out ranked at the free weekend. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, and what's that back there?
What was it? I missed it. Okay, anyway. Hey, great video from Kevin over here. Great video, man. Yo, go subscribe to Kevin Coolx on YouTube. He's this, I was looking at his video. What did he point at? What did he point at? What was this?
For the game. And remember, Marathon did confirm that they will have an open preview weekend. It's probably happening.
What did he point at? I see Master Chief, a helmet. I see the thief statue, but what is he pointing at?
So maybe we'll be able to test out ranked at the free weekend. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, and what's that back there?
Oh, thief? Is he pointing at thief? Probably. I have thief also. So hey, yo, big shout out to Kevin Coolx for his video. Make sure you go, subscribe to him and all that stuff. If you like my content and my breakdowns, we're gonna have more. We're gonna have more original content too. It's not just gonna be covering other people's stuff. But I hope I was able to give some good, context, some good debates, some good questions to bring up, especially with ranked being in these zones. I think to me that's my most burning question: is if I'm doing ranked mode, am I also does the PvE even factor into that? And if it does it scale in difficulty depending on if you're going platinum or bronze or whatever, right? So guys, tell me in the comments what you think about this. And if you're excited about ranked mode, like, comment, subscribe if you want more Marathon content. We're going to be covering things. We're only about a month out and we're pretty close to a beta play weekend. I can't wait to play with all you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.